Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Warren,
And this is Jay.
and we got good news and we got bad news. Good news is the Eagles going to the playoffs. Bad news, they're not looking good going to the playoffs. Yeah, so like we were saying, the Eagles are officially going to the playoffs. But with the loss that we had with the Cardinals, everybody's not too confident in that game. Very upsetting game, very frustrating game. And the game made both of us a little frustrated. Just we wanted to go on early, but our frustration just wouldn't be a good show. So that's why we said let's just wait to our original time on Thursday and just let it happen. But Jay, give me a little bit of your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said on the last podcast, just after the Seahawks game, I became deflated. Even going into the Giants game, they have just looked funny. It just hasn't looked right. I try to hang in and be as optimistic as I can, but that was very disappointing just to see them just squander that away. And there's a lot of stats I want to get into in the time of possession, man. I remember at halftime just looking at the time of possession, the Eagles only had the ball for 8 minutes in the first half. So it was just like, they weren't even close to, forming something. Because every time they had the ball, for the most part, they were moving it, but they didn't get enough touches on offense to be actually productive.
Exactly. What's going on, Vincent? Um,
Vincent, what's up, bro?
but yeah, so yeah, I felt the same way. I think the offense actually did a lot better than
Yeah,
what they have been doing.
yeah.
Um, we just didn't. It didn't get reciprocated on the defense.
Especially at the end. Especially at the end. That's where they squandered on offense. They had it there. Another game where you could have just ran the ball down their throat. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, you don't run the ball on third and long, second and long. You don't. Those are not situations. Brian Johnson explains his explanation for that. Very cliche explanation of what you would expect him to say, that he's catching somebody off guard or whatever. But all in all, the Eagles have just been disappointed, man. Like I said, in a weird kind of a way, I just want this season to be over. Like I just wanted to be over so they could just reset, because how far can this team go with what they have shown us? The sample size is large enough for us to say at this point that they look lost completely.
Yeah, and this Vincent right here. What's more frustrating is watching the film, and Jordan Davis only has one job, and he's been out of shape and lazy on plays. Yeah, a lot of people are now saying that about him, and
After the
that's
Baldy take, yeah. After the
that.
Baldy take, yeah.
And then Thomas, shout out to Thomas. What's going on? Appreciate you watching us. Um, but
Sometimes.
yeah, but yeah. So I feel the same way, and a little bit what Vincent was saying. Like everything's starting to come out now. Yeah, we can. The way they've been playing hasn't been looking very good. It's actually been a little disappointing. But you got to think about it. It's as bad as we've been playing right now. It can change if they wanted to. It's strictly on what we want to do right on what they want to do right now. So I think they're going to fight a little bit harder. Maybe not for this giant game, but before the playoffs, I can see them fighting a little bit harder. But yeah, this game was just disappointing. But we also got to be mindful too, guys. Like the Cardinals played against the 49ers the whole first half when they played the 49ers. They beat the Cowboys. Like Jonathan Gannon was our defensive coordinator for 3 years, so he knows everything. At the end of the day, I feel like that would have been out of those three games. That's gonna be our hardest opponent anyway. But it was the fashion that we lost. Defense just did not tackle. Defense, honestly, was just going through the motions almost. You would think after that Sidney
Yards after
Brown
the catch again.
exactly. You would think after that Sidney Brown interception that it would have put a little spark in everybody and fired everybody up. Um, but yeah, it was
Put it
just
like this, Warren. Put it like this. If you told me that Julio would score 2 touchdowns and you'll get a pick six from Sidney Brown and lose, I wouldn't believe you.
my
I wouldn't
parlay didn't
believe you.
believe that either, bro. So
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Imagine that. So it's like, you got 2 touchdowns from Julio, a pick six from Sidney, and you still can't win. It's
yeah,
just it was very disappointing to see what they put out there. I mean, it was lackluster to say the least. It's just what is going on.
Yeah.
AJ came out and said it's not the coaches. It's not the coaches. As much as we want to believe that, we got to believe that coaching is involved. He's not going to come out and throw his coaches under the bus right before the playoffs, right before the team's going to go on a deep run. I believe his frustration probably is with some of his teammates and the situations and Devontae getting injured, but he has to have some type of resentment or something going on with the coaching.
Yeah.
The
And
way
we'll
the
play that
team's
back
run.
too for that video. That video, just a small clip of what he was saying. But we got to move forward. That was last Sunday. We got the Giants this Sunday. Going into this game, there's a few injuries. We got Cunningham. He had limited practice due to his knee injury. We had Slay. Slay was limited in practice today. Jordan Davis was limited in practice due to his ankle. Surprisingly, Maddox was limited in practice too. So like those things, it's good that they're limited, which means that there's a possibility that they'll play. But at the end of the day, like it just sucks to see people injured. Smitty, of course, we know with the ankle sprain, like he's possibly going to be out too. Maybe for this game, I think. How do you feel going into this game? Do you feel like they should be paying attention to the Cowboy game and depending on where they're seeding or where the game's heading to rest everybody?
I think when you try to win this game regardless, because you just never know. When Cowboys could drop the ball. Anything can happen. It's the NFL, so you got it. The NFL made the game simultaneously to play at the same time, 4:30, 4:25. So they're gonna have to just try to win this game. I don't think they should just go into this game thinking about resting the starters at any point or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just get ready to go roll up next week on the road against the NFC South winner.
Yeah. Ideally, what I would like to see is they blow them out. The team that we've all been waiting for just blows out the Giants. Blows out the Giants to where at halftime they just let the backups kind of come in and take up most of the space. That's what I would like to see because that would be reassurance for us, even though it is the Giants. But also just letting us know like the team's back. That's what I would like for reassurance.
And the Giants would love to play spoiler. So like I know that they're for a fact gonna wanna, play their hardest. And their last game on Christmas Day wasn't an easy game. They thought they were dead. This is the problem with the Eagles, and this is the thing the issue I have going on. The thing going on at the beginning of the season was when are they going to put a complete game together? And it's true. I wasn't on that wagon. Like, no, just let them figure out a way to win as long as you win. But all of this was masked by them not figuring this out. If you take your opponent, for example, like, you overlook games sometimes. You overlook an opponent, and that's what I feel like the Eagles did. They haven't put complete games together because sometimes they're looking at the schedule, or maybe this is an easy game, maybe this is a harder game, and it's like one game the defense is playing good, one game the offense is playing good. They haven't put it completely together.
Yeah,
and this is exactly what's happening, literally. Because the offense was moving the ball last game.
We've seen the offense play well, and we've seen the defense play well.
And then the defense
never seen them play well in one setting. Yeah,
in one set. All season, have one game, have both of them played well.
Yeah,
not one game all season. All season has been like this.
Yeah,
literally.
That's frustrating. That's very frustrating. Moving on to some other news. So we got Lane Johnson, who was nominated for Man of the Year award. With that, also, if anybody would like to vote for Lane, there's the link at the bottom. We'll also have the link at the bottom of the screen too for the YouTube page. Hey, I'm going to be voting. Jay, I know you will. He deserves it. So shout out to Lane. With that said, too, there was some news that was spreading that a lot of people were frustrated that A.J. Brown was not talking to the media the last two games. And then he finally came out and spoke and kind of put his 2 cents in on what he was thinking was going on. I'm gonna play a clip real quick, and Jay, I just want you to give me your thoughts on what he was saying.
Fine, like people say I'm beefing with Nick. I'm not mad at Nick. I'm not mad at nobody. Like we have a great relationship. Like I said, like I got a ton of respect for Nick. So like I said, he take up for us when it be us, you know. And I even said, for example, I'm gonna get detailed. For example, I know that's what y'all want anyway, but I'm I'm gonna get detailed. Like for the Seattle game, that was on us. Like we messed that up. We improvised and we went on our own. And Nick came out and said, "Oh, I wanted to try to get a flag or something crazy like that." It's like he really made himself look like.
But yeah, so what do you think about that?
So that's why I say, like, you got to read in between the lines. If Nick is coming up and covering up for saying that he took blame for this, how many times along the season has somebody stepped up and take the blame for something? This happens in the world of sports. A coach will come out and take up the blame for something, or a player will take accountability, as we like to call it. But I still think that there's bigger issues. And once again, this team, from what they have shown us, unless they go on a Cinderella crazy run and just pull tricks out the hat, like, I don't see what direction they're gonna go. To be truthfully honest with you, I know we want them to blow them out, do all of this. They could lose. I see Vince said they need to pay attention to the Giants. They absolutely do need to pay attention to the Giants. They literally could lose this game. Mm-hmm. That would be the worst case scenario going into the playoffs. Make us even more uncertain of this team. So, like, once again, it's hard to be fully optimistic, and like even hearing from AJ reassured me a little that at least he spoke, because at least him not speaking would have been a little bit more, what is he keeping inside? But, just looking at it, I just think there's more in between the lines of what he's saying.
So when it comes to the coaching, I think a lot about how, okay, Nick said it's his offense. AJ Brown not saying it's not the coaches, it's us. But if you know that, why are you not scheming up or having the running backs? I've never seen, like, there's no mixture that's going on. There's no change as much to what we saw. Like, everything we saw last year, we're seeing this year. And that's what teams have been looking at film on. And I feel like there's not too much disguise of what's going on. And I think that's why we say coaching.
And this is the game they actually got creative too, Warren. This is the first time I could say all season they got creative. Like, you pulled you did a couple, but
the game
what you're saying is absolutely right. The lack of they don't have an identity on offense. Mm-hmm. They just go and wing it every single game. Like, they don't have a staple.
I think they're trying to be that 22 team. That 22 team that went to the Super Bowl and lost. They feel like we can still get there with what we're doing, and it's not getting them there. Like, this is the NFL. Like, at the same time, this is, what can we say? Like, it was just every team that played us, it was their Super Bowl against us. Yeah. Like, every team was going to give us their best shot when they played us.
You got to take their best shot.
Yeah, it's cool, but at the end of the day, we got to be able to see that and scheme against it and prepare for it. It's a lot of confusion right now. We don't know what's going on, and we don't know what the expectations are. Like, I know a lot of people felt like this in the 2017, back when Carson got hurt, and then Nick Foles came out. Let me just give you a little clip of the playoff picture right now. And this playoff picture only works. My bad, that's the wrong one. But yeah, at the end of the day, it would just be switch. We'll play Tampa, and let's just say we beat Tampa. Right after Tampa, we play the 49ers. So we would have to be prepared for the 49ers. And the reason why I would like the Cowboys to lose is because that would put us at least in the second seed, and we would at least have some teams to play to build up that momentum before playing them. I wouldn't like just going off for it, just playing them right after one game. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, that'll be the test, because everything's gonna be on the road. The Eagles, have played their last home game probably for the season.
Shout out to Gio.
Gio, what's up, bro? Let's go Birds. In
Yeah.
abusive yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like it's real tricky. So we don't really know what to expect. But me personally, I would like I said, I would like to see the Cowboys lose just to kind of give us some ground to work on. But yeah, bro, I think it's not we're not as excited as we were at the beginning of the season. We're not as excited.
It's faded off. So it's faded off so slow. It's like a slow death. It's just it faded off. It's just like I said, after the Seahawks game, that's when it took me out because I really felt like the defense was gonna get a stop on the last 2 minutes.
Do you feel like our expectations are too high? Do you feel like we?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, you come and return. I mean, defend the NFC Championship. The target was on them all season, but once again, they just they got through that gauntlet, and you would think that they would have had this streak during the gauntlet, and it would have been maybe better to struggle earlier in the season than so late. But if you really think about it, the Eagles have no definitive wins this season. The game versus Tampa, I think it was 25-11. That was probably like their most definitive win. They haven't they haven't had a game where it's just like they blow the top off a team and just really make them work. Every team they've made the Eagles work.
But see, you're going based off of last year, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, not even based off of last year. It's more this year. Like getting everybody's best shot shouldn't be the excuse for us. But like I said, they just have winged it all year. There's no identity. 2022 had an identity.
Yeah,
this team has zero identity.
Do you feel like it could be? I think it's a lot of the defense on my side. The defensive line is not as aggressive as they were last year with the 70 plus sacks. We're barely seeing them.
We're in the middle. I think we're 15 or 16th.
Yeah, we're barely seeing them. And with the secondary being the secondary the way that it is, a lot of rookies out there. I just think there's a lot going on, and then we're trying to hurry up and bring in Shaq Leonard to fix these issues. And I'm gonna stick with this until I'm proven wrong. I feel like a lot of the chips were moved into Kobe Dean being that guy.
Yeah.
Whether he was going to be the guy or whether he was going to be a bust, I think a lot of the chips were pushed that it was going to be him. And I think with his injury, it kind of set a lot of things back.
That's the one position that besides running back that the Eagles just fully didn't value. Look at TJ Edwards. He's had a great season over there in Chicago. So it's like we really undermined that position. They should have just signed him, re-signed TJ Edwards, but they don't value the linebacker position. They did put too much chips into Dean and didn't think about what if it doesn't go right, because he himself would have been basically a first-year linebacker, signal caller, being undersized at that.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Dean got the playbook, and Dean's like, he's studying it all of offseason. When you give it to somebody that's not really supposed to have it, but they're supposed to be your next person up, they're not going to – Morrow's had his games. Cunningham has had his games where he stepped up. They've all had times where they stepped up, but I'm saying, like, none of them have all stepped up at once, and that's what's frustrating. Not everybody is stepping up all at once, and I hate, like, does it have to be the playoffs for y'all to realize that? And then I also know Sidney Brown made the comment, like, we're going to play like we practice. So Sidney Brown saying he feels like they're not as aggressive in practice.
Yeah, he called that out. He basically saying they're having basically soft practices, and there's practice habits are showing up on Sundays. So once again, internally, and what does that come down to? Bottom line is coaching.
Can you see leadership the next leader?
Too early to tell. He would have to definitely to be a leader. You also have to play like a leader. You also have to have moments like a leader. So, it's not impossible to see him, forming him, but he's been playing better and better. So let's just see where he can go. But the Eagles have Last year was C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Mm.
Before that, to me, the last year probably Malcolm Jenkins. They've always had a guy who's pretty good at leading the defense. This year, there's no guy. And I mean, who's leading the defense? Not Reed Blankenship.
No, Reed's not. Yeah, but as we move forward, we were talking a little bit about the Pro Bowl. These are our guys going to the Pro Bowl: Lane Johnson, Reddick, Kelsey, Swift, Dickerson, and AJ. I don't know if you saw that video, but I know when Nick announced it, they were just kind of like, okay, like cool.
Yeah,
Like,
they weren't too yet because there's bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
They're trying to get in. They're trying to skip the Pro Bowl, and hopefully not have to play in that, and participate in that. But
yeah,
not surprised to see that many players on the Eagles, roster. They have a great roster. It's just what are they doing with it? We squeezed 11 wins out of a dysfunctional team. So how much further can we go?
So what would you need to see for you to feel more confident in the team?
Just even their energy on the sideline. Forget about stats and gameplay. It just, they're starting to look dejected. When things are not going right, a lot of teams go through this. You start seeing the arguments on the sideline. And to me, I point out when they were trying to get set on one of the last plays on the final drive in the offense, and they couldn't get set, and so much communication. And those are week 1 and week 2 issues when you're trying to get signals down and stuff. You can't figure it out. There's just a lot going on there. Shout out to Coach Jay. He said, "Fly Eagles Fly" on YouTube.
Shout out to Coach Jay. All right. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm excited that, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm excited that we're at least in the playoffs. There's some teams that aren't in the playoffs. I think it would have been a lot more disappointing if we didn't even make it that far.
That's true. Absolutely. To have this and then collapse out would have been ultimate disaster. But I'll tell you what, Warren, all my years of watching football, weird things have happened. Weird things have happened. And this team, like AJ said, is right there. They're on the cusp. Who knows what switch they could hit from now until a few weeks of that first playoff game. All I know is coming in at the number 5 seed can be good and bad for them in a weird way. Because at the number 2 seed, obviously they would have had home field advantage, but they would have had a harder path probably, I think, as far as the competition they would have faced as the first game. I mean, in the first couple games.
They would play, I would say they would have to play the Lions possibly. Mm-hmm. I think that's who it would be if they did get the 2nd seed, but yeah.
I feel more comfortable with them. I feel more comfortable with this team on the road. And I feel more comfortable with them at the 5 seed, going in and at least trying to get some momentum against whoever wins. Let's just presume it's Tampa. You understand? Let's just presume it's Tampa. To get a good quality win against them and roll into that during the playoff time could be very vital.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Now, we don't usually do this and talk about other teams, but what we would need, like I said, we talked about the Cowboys losing against the Commanders. We would need that. The Rams are also playing the 49ers, and you can't sleep on the Rams right now. They're actually playing well. So, and then the Lions are playing the Vikings. The Vikings and the Lions, they're a division team, so they always know their best. They give them their best just because they play them twice.
Yep.
Do you feel like all this can switch up?
I feel a weird thing could happen once again on week 18. Somebody's going to play spoiler at some point along the NFL on Sunday or Monday. But the Cowboys losing to the Commanders is not completely out of the question. Arizona just beat Philly at home. Even though Philly's struggling, there's no way they should have lost to Arizona with the last ranked rush defense, giving up 147 yards, and we only put up 92 on them. It was ridiculous, so things can happen, and we're just going to have to wait and see. All I know is that the Eagles need to win this game because they can't lose this game just for moral purposes and in motivational purposes. They can't lose this game. Yeah. At least if the starters are out there.
I agree with you. But yeah, before we get up out of here, do you have any last minute things you want to say, Jay?
No, just just hoping this team could just show me some type of light. They showed me light for the first 2 quarters. And then it got dark again, and it's been dark for the last couple of weeks. Lost 4 out of 5, so let's just see where this team could go come
Yeah.
playoff time.
And shout out to Dennis.
Dennis, what up, boy?
But yeah, but other than
Brown
that, like I
70
said,
yards better than replay.
but yeah,
Listen,
like I
man,
said, I think
Brown needs to be on the field. That's it's already. None of us can debate that at this point.
yeah, Brown did his thing. Like I said, it's very deflating. As y'all can tell on the show, we're a little deflated right now, just from the
Yeah.
game. Still, just kind of going over everything and thinking about the loss. But we got to have some type of hope at the end of the day. Things can change after Sunday. We might be in a different seed. We might feel a little bit more confidence. The defense might play up to a certain expectation that we want to see. Things can change, but yeah. Other than that, we will see y'all next Thursday. And fly, Eagles, fly. We're the Eagles Collective.
Go Birds.